by Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit at Universal Studios in Florida. Hello everybody, welcome. After years of speculation and attempts to improve the attraction, it looks like this thing might finally be getting the axe. We know that Universal is putting everything that they have into the success of Epic Universe. And as a result, the existing parks, Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, they've kind of taken a back seat to Epic Universe. We've all seen it. If you haven't seen it, if you're saying they haven't, you're probably lying to yourself. I mean, if we're really honest with ourselves, we've all seen that the current parks have really been taking a back seat in recent years. Light refurbishments, lackluster Halloween Horror Nights, and maybe a little bit less upkeep at the existing parks. And to be fair to Disney, some of the things that we've been seeing, if it was Disney doing these things, we would all be outraged. I mean, we'd be all over social media dumping on Disney for some of the things that Universal's been doing lately. Let's be honest with ourselves. I try to be fair and equitable to all the theme parks. If somebody's doing something wrong, I'm gonna drop the hammer. I'm not mincing words. So let's be fair. Universal, they've been, the existing park's been taking a little bit of back seat. So if I'm being honest with myself, there's been some things that have happened that I've really just been giving Universal kind of a pass on. They've really just been, just looking the other way, kind of giving them a pass. Because I know they're working on Epic Universe. Like, I'm so pumped and excited for Epic Universe, I'm kind of like, it's okay, Universal Studios, go ahead and not do anything over there, it's fine, because Epic Universe is coming, it's coming. Which, I guess, maybe that's the reason why I haven't been giving Disney that same pass, because Disney's really just not doing anything. Like, they haven't done anything for, like, a while. Like, it's kind of hard for me to give you a pass because you're not doing anything, or the things that you are doing kind of are not great. So I think maybe that's why. So with that, I am really excited about Universal now pivoting and reinvesting and thinking about their existing parks now that Epic Universe is going to be finally launching. So sometime in the middle of next year, May 22nd, 2025, Epic is going to open. So sometime around there, you're going to start to see pivots away from Epic and into the existing parks, which I'm very pumped about. Now, you have heard me talk about this a bunch. Like, I have waxed poetic about this entire thing around how the things that they're doing at Epic Universe and the back of the house operations that they're adding there and reserving all that space and building all those huge warehouses back there that you're like, what are they doing with all that space? It's allowing them to crush and destroy buildings that are in back of the house at Universal and Islands of Adventure so they can put new attractions in their place, and they can expand those parks which are landlocked right now. So instead of having to destroy things like Shrek and replace it with Minions Blast, they can just create a new thing in a space that is currently not used or won't be used once they can crush that back of the house operation and push it all over to Epic Universe. So now it looks like a replacement for Rip Ride Rockit might just be the first big thing that we get at the existing parks after Epic Universe launches. Speculation has been that Rip Ride Rockit is going to be closing around the middle of 2025, which lines up perfectly, quite frankly, with the opening days of Epic Universe. Right in the middle of 2025, Rip Ride Rockit might be closing permanently to make way for something new. It just lines up perfectly from a timeline perspective. Which has me really excited, but also kind of like, wait, what? You're replacing something? I literally just waxed poetic about all the new stuff they're going to be able to add to the park because the back of the house operations, and it's going to give them all this flexibility, the benefits of size, essentially having all this new space to play with, like Disney has. Like Disney has all this size that they don't even use for some unknown reason. They keep crushing stuff and they have tons of space. So Epic Universe, Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure are finally going to have some new space to play with. And they're crushing an existing attraction and replacing it? I just said you don't have to replace stuff anymore, and here we are, the very first thing that we're gonna get. after Epic Universe opens in the existing parks, is crushing an existing attraction and replacing it? What? Why? Why are you doing that? Well, to answer that question, we got to go back and look at Rip Ride Rockit and the history of that attraction and figure out what exactly is going on. Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit is fairly kind of almost an iconic attraction at Universal Studios. It only opened back in 2009. Now, some people may say it's an eyesore, that they don't feel like it blends in at all. It kind of is this giant, gaping, roller coaster in the front of the park, and it feels weird, and it definitely feels a little bit weird now, especially because of where Minions Land is now. It's kind of Minions Land with the sort of Despicable Me attraction and Minions Blast and Minions Cafe and the Freeze Pops and all that stuff. It's all this Minions Land, and there's this weird roller coaster, Rip Ride Rockit, over kind of next to it. So it is kind of a little bit weird, but it is still kind of iconic. Like, people see it, they know what it is, and it kind of feels like it's part of the park. It's also still pretty popular. I mean, the wait times are pretty long for that ride, even today. A lot of people like the ride. It's not like people hate the ride and it doesn't get anybody on it. So what's the deal? Why are they getting rid of it? Well, here's the thing. Since even opening day of this attraction, it has had problem after problem after problem. I mean, this ride has had a string of issues. First of all, it was originally designed to operate with 7 trains on the track. Short trains, 7 on the track, and it historically pretty much has only ran with around 4 to 5 since opening. I mean, there was a time where it went up a little bit more, but basically you're talking 4 to 5 trains at a time. They've never really been able to get that thing up to capacity, so the expected amount of throughput of guests on that ride has never really panned out. So even though the lines are long and the wait times are pretty long, it's not necessarily because it's like a phenomenal ride. It's just it has a really slow throughput. It doesn't put a lot of people through the ride very quickly, and so it takes a while to get that number of people through the attraction. It is also a very rough attraction. It is one of the very few rides in any theme park where I basically almost black out. Like, I white out on that ride, and that doesn't happen to me on rides. Like, I ride like crazy Giga Coasters and Velocicoaster and all these things, no problem, love them, great, awesome, can ride them over and over again, don't even get sick. Rip Ride Rockit, man, I like almost faint on that ride every single time because it is so rough. The weight of the cars and the design of the cars really is what has led to that roughness on that attraction. Like, they've been trying so hard to make it not so rough, but just the design of those cars, the weight of those cars on that track, it's just not possible. It's just going to be a rough ride. On top of that, the ride location is basically between 2 giant like building warehouse sound stages, and so that whole entire area is basically a wind tunnel, which not only would be a problem for most other rides, it's definitely a problem with this ride because this particular ride, the way it's designed and structured, can really only function in wind speeds of up to 25 miles an hour in good weather. If the weather is cold out, it can only function in weather of 15 miles an hour of wind or less. Comparatively, many other roller coaster attractions can operate in speeds of up to 35 or more miles per hour of wind. So we've already got a lot of problems with wind. It's in a wind tunnel and it can't withstand heavy winds. So if you've ever been to Universal Studios, you've noticed the ride's probably down a lot for you. You've probably been there many times and never been able to ride it because it's always down. Not only is it down because of problems on the ride, a lot of times it's just down because of wind. You're looking around, you're like, it's not raining, there's no lightning, why is the ride shut down? Well, it's because the wind. If it's just a little bit too windy, it's shut down for the day. Now, eventually the ride vehicles were replaced to try to address some of the issues, but that in itself added more weight to the ride. And that additional weight made it even rougher and also added an additional myriad of different technical issues that they had with the attraction. In fact, guests were constantly complaining about minor injuries, getting off the ride and complaining about it and reporting minor injuries with it. So much so that they had to actually slow down the lift hill as you're going over that crest. They had to slow that entire thing down, hoping that it would give people time to prepare for that next big drop there, which apparently worked. Just by slowing that down over that hill, it worked, and minor injury reports kind of disappeared. However, the problem emerged from that, which is we're back down to less capacity because that small little slowing down has then thrown off the rest of the in-track and all the different blockings and things throughout the track. We're now back down to less capacity, less number of trains on the track, less throughput. In addition, you may have noticed that recently they reduced the number of songs that were available. It used to be like 30 some odd different songs from 5 or 6 different categories. There's of course the secret menu you can get into for all you people that love to do that and choose between like a bazillion songs. But essentially they got rid of it. They went down to 5 songs total. They even got rid of my favorite, of course, which was Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue. I mean, that song just goes crazy with that attraction. It's sad. If you never got to do Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue on that ride, you missed out because it just went gangbusters with that ride. Trust me. Now, we're not really sure why they got rid of those songs. We think it's a couple of reasons. One is they wanted to simplify the process. People were kind of like, oh, I want to select my song. Oh, I panicked and I couldn't do it. And you're trying to get that extremely heavy restraint onto you and get into your seat while the whole thing's moving and it never stops. And so it was just very complicated. They tried to simplify it. In addition, it was licensing things. So if you may not even know this, but essentially you could basically get a copy of sort of the ride and the song after you got off of whatever you selected to kind of like take home an experience of that song that you chose, which never really took off. And so, but they're paying licensing for all those different songs. And so we think that to kind of cut down on some of those licensing costs, and nobody's really buying that stuff anyway, they kind of simplified it down to 5 songs. Now, if we look through all of the issues that this attraction has had, all the problems, I have to say Universal, like they have tried so hard for years and years to make this attraction a great attraction, an enjoyable attraction, a not painful blackout attraction, and keep it running when I think any other theme park would have just shuttered the thing. They have tried hard. They've spent so much money. It is reported that they may have spent up to 6 times the original investment of this attraction to keep it moving and to keep it going. 6 times what they should have spent on this attraction they have had to spend to try to keep this thing rolling. You can really quickly see how, if all that is true, it is time to get rid of this ride. Like it is bleeding money at this point, and it is time to cut bait and run. In other words, this ride's busted. Like it is busted, and it's time to go. So as I said, it was kind of like, wait a minute, why are you crushing an attraction when you have all this space you're supposed to be opening up and we're supposed to be getting new stuff and you don't need to destroy things anymore? And yet now here you are destroying something as your very first, message to all of us theme parkians that are thinking, hey, Universal, cool, Epic Universe is launched, let's do it. And now you're crushing something that arguably people kind of like. Now it makes sense. That's why. Yeah, it's busted. They're bleeding money. It's hemorrhaging money, and it's time to go. I still think it's a decent attraction. I kind of like it, but I'm kind of good seeing it go because I'm excited about the prospect of what could be coming that's new, which we're going to talk about right now, which is more than likely an Intamin roller coaster. If you don't know anything about Intamin, let me walk you through it. You're going to know them real quick here in just a second. Intamin is basically a manufacturer of roller coasters. Now, what's important to note here is they are a very innovative company. They come up with some really cool ideas for roller coasters. They're a manufacturer, they're a designer of coasters. But it's important to note that Universal primarily, for the most part, uses Intamin, not for everything, but most things, uses them as basically a manufacturer. That Universal themselves are designing the coasters. With regards to Intamin. So Universal designs the coaster, and then they basically use Intamin to basically manufacture and construct the roller coaster. But that being said, Intamin coasters have been responsible for pretty much the most epic, pretty much almost all of the amazing, cool new coasters that we've gotten at Universal and Islands of Adventure for decades. Let me just run through the Rolodex of these cool things that Intamin has brought to the table, obviously designed by Universal. Number 1 on the list, Jurassic World Velocicoaster. If you've not ridden that, it is insane. That attraction is crazy. No over-the-shoulder harness. You've got all these corkscrews hanging upside down, and it's not just your normal corkscrew where you kind of just stay in your seat as it sort of arcs around. It not only takes you upside down, it stops while you're still upside down and then brings you back around the same direction. Like, it is not messing around. You are hanging, you are falling out of your seat, and there is no shoulder harness, just a lap bar, and it is crazy. And even one of those is over top of some water. So it is a sick, sick ride, and that's an Intamin coaster. And we've also got Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, one of the most experiential, iconic coasters in all the world. I think when it comes to an experiential coaster, it's probably got to be the best. It's probably got to be the best coaster in the world. It's spectacular. So many things happening with that, forwards and backwards and drops and all this really cool stuff. It's just an amazing coaster. Another Intamin. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. I'm not a big fan of that roller coaster. I've said that before. I think people know that. I waited for it for 7 hours on opening day, so it was not impressive to me. It is way too much screen, not enough coaster. If Gringotts was like 50% more coaster, I would probably say it is an amazing attraction, but as it is, it's just okay. But it's still pretty inventive and still pretty cool. And again, it's a marquee attraction in Wizarding World. Now, interestingly, they're also building Hiccup's wing gliders over at Epic Universe. So that's an attraction at Epic that they're going to be bringing to the table. But there's some really cool ones that you might not know about, but you're probably very familiar with. They were responsible for Back to the Future, the ride, and The Simpsons, of course, replacing it. Huh? Pretty cool. Intamin? Back to the Future? That's awesome. What about E.T. Adventure? Huh? I'm a big E.T. Adventure fan. I mean, that's the one ride that better never leave Universal. I'm sorry. That ride needs to stay forever. We've also got Jaws, the defunct Jaws attraction, which I loved. It was so cool. But again, Intamin. We've also got Raging Spirits. We've got Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem. We've even got a few Disney attractions. We've got Incredicoaster over at Disney's California Adventure, Cali River Rapids over at Animal Kingdom, and even the amazingly popular dinosaur ride at Animal Kingdom. Man, I am sick about that ride going away, I'm not gonna lie. But Dinosaur, I love that attraction. Now, there's one more that I haven't mentioned that we will talk about in just a moment, because that is probably where we're gonna be going, but I don't wanna spoil it just yet. Now, you may be asking me, why do I say it's an Intamin coaster? I don't know this for sure. There's been a lot of speculation on who could be manufacturing something, replacing in that space. The reason that it is believed that it's an Intamin coaster is because there was essentially a notice of commencement that has been filed recently with Orlando. On this notice of commencement, it is specifically called out that the contractor is Intamin, and the location that this is the parcel that matches Universal Studios, not Islands of Adventure. Specifically, that parcel, and you can look it up yourself, is 13-23-28-8833-00-120, which is specifically in that space, in that area. On the second page of that, which is Exhibit A, there's more information about the actual plat. Lots of information in there, all the dimensions and stuff. You can read that at your leisure, but essentially it is expected to more than likely be replacing Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. Now, we don't know that for sure. It's just what it looks like. There is very little information in this form. It doesn't go into great detail about what it is that they're going to be doing. But either way, it's a new Intamin attraction. Hopefully, it's going to be something really cool. In addition to the notice of commencement, we also have some additional permits that were just filed. In the last few days, a new permit was filed with the South Florida Water Management District, and it is codenamed Project P830. Now, if we dig into this new permit, it clearly says the project description is to remove existing attraction and replace with proposed attraction. And there are some additional exhibits with this permit that show the location and the space that it is going to occupy, and that is clearly going to be where Rip Ride Rockit is. Now, in addition to the area that Rip Ride Rockit currently sits on, there is also another piece of land, a little parcel, where there is a parking lot that is included in the schematic and the design for that. And this will very likely have something to do with the new loading area for this attraction, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. So there you have it. This attraction is definitely being replaced. So let's talk about now what it could be that we're getting. Now again, as I said, I don't think we're going to get just something off the shelf that's an Intamin coaster. Again, it's going to be designed by Universal more than likely. We're going to get something bespoke, something really cool, probably using some technology that they have or they've been creating for some of the other attractions. First and foremost, speculation is it could be a Minions family-style coaster. Now that is definitely a possibility. As I said, there's an entire Minions land being created there. I really don't know why, because I don't know. We don't need more Minions, but I mean, I guess somebody thinks we need more Minions. I just don't really want more, because whatever, they're cool and they're cute and all, but like, whatever. I'm not really wanting a family style. We're getting a lot of family coasters, and they do need more family stuff at Universal. I get it. But I don't think that's the place. I think Universal Studios already suffers from not having any really strong attractions there. I think you've got Mummy, which is great. Transformers is good. E.T. is good. But like from a knock your socks off, blow your hair back, you know, attraction similar to what you get over at Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios just doesn't really have it. So I don't think we need another family style coaster there right now. We need something bigger that's going to make a big splash and get a big draw to drag people back to Universal Studios, because everybody's going to be literally like crushing Epic Universe. They need something that's going to get people excited to come back to the original parks. So I don't think that this is likely, but hey, you know what? It could be. It fits with the theme with Minions, whatever. We'll see. More than likely, what we're going to end up with is something similar to the other Intamin coaster that's happening over at the West Coast in Hollywood, and that is Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. This is a spinning, multi-launch coaster similar to a Velocicoaster type experience. It has multiple launches. Now, Velocicoaster does not spin. I will say spinning is a new thing for Intamin. This is not their bread and butter. Think Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. That's going to be kind of the style of this coaster. That's what the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift is all about. And that is a high probability. I think what that ends up doing, so it sounds weird. You're like, I don't know, why would we do a Fast and Furious over on that side of the park when we already have a Fast and Furious in the back of the park, and it just seems kind of disjointed. Number one, I think what's going to end up happening is Fast and Furious, the Busted, in the back of the park, I think is going to get retired and demolished. I think they're going to get rid of that because no one likes that attraction. It's horrible. Get rid of it. We're all telling you, get rid of it. No one's going to shed a tear. If you're going to bust something, bust that. Stop replacing other stuff. Bust that. Get rid of it. Nobody's going to care. Not only is that what everyone wants, that is a massive footprint. The size of that building and that space where that Fast and Furious attraction is that no one likes is huge. You could do so much with that space. It's massive. So I think getting rid of that, or even announcing that you might be retiring that, gets rid of that Fast and Furious. But then by having a Fast and Furious, I don't know, Orlando Drift, or whatever you want to call it, East Coast Drift, I think that allows them to keep Fast and Furious, the brand, in Universal Studios, and a really cool, like, marquee fast style attraction in Universal Studios, and get rid of that other busted thing. I think that could be pretty cool. This could very well be a faster version of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. I believe the Hollywood Drift version goes around 73 miles per hour, whereas Cosmic Rewind goes about 60 miles an hour. For comparison, Velocicoaster goes about 70 miles an hour. So imagine a Velocicoaster speed, drifting, spinning, multi-launch coaster that also has inversions. Unlike Cosmic Rewind over at Epcot, which has no inversions whatsoever. You're never upside down. Which, by the way, I'm going to say it again and again and again. God, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is my favorite attraction ever. Absolutely my favorite attraction ever. I don't know that it will ever be beat. But if you take Guardians of the Galaxy, make it a little bit faster, and turn it upside down, it might just beat it. So we'll see. So that could be really cool to have an attraction like that replacing Rip Ride Rockit. But we could get something totally different. Could be something that we're not even thinking of, like maybe a Back to the Future roller coaster. It seems like Universal's bringing back a lot of the oldies but goodies. And I think a lot of people were, I don't know, I still think the old Back to the Future ride was better than The Simpsons, if I'm being honest. But I still like The Simpsons ride, it's cool too, but I like Back to the Future. I'm a big fan of Back to the Future. The movies, obviously, the trilogy. So I'd like to see something come. I think you could do something really cool with the Back to the Future roller coaster. That could be pretty epic. Or maybe we'll get a Ghostbusters roller coaster or attraction of some kind. I don't know. They're bringing that IP back. It seems like they might be relicensing Ghostbusters. You're seeing things like, again, Back to the Future. You're seeing Ghostbusters making a resurgence in the parks. They used to have licensing with Ghostbusters. They killed it years ago, which I think was a colossal error because I love Ghostbusters. More new Ghostbusters films are coming out over and over again, so it's refreshing the IP, and a whole new generation of people are getting excited about Ghostbusters. They brought Ghostbusters back for Halloween Horror Nights. They brought Ghostbusters back for the Mega Movie Parade. They brought Ghostbusters back for the sensational drone show. Ghostbusters. It keeps coming back. They could very well do some sort of cool Ghostbusters attraction. There's already been a rumor out there that the Blue Man Group, which is not returning to the Blue Man Group studio, it has been announced that that is going over to Icon Park. So Blue Man Group is coming back to Orlando, but it's going to be at Icon Park. It is not coming back to Universal, which means that entire show building is up for grabs. And there's been a rumor that there could be a resurgence of maybe a Ghostbusters show like they used to have a Ghostbusters show back in the day. Could be some sort of cool interactive experiential show that's Ghostbusters. I'd be down for that. And so you've got the Ghostbusters show potentially in that building there. And then you could have a Ghostbusters roller coaster right next to it. I don't know, could be pretty cool. And the loading area for Rip Ride Rockit right now is in the wrong spot. It's over in Minions area, which would have to be moved because it doesn't mesh well with Minions. But if you put that back into New York, so that entire back area back there where there's sort of like the big pillars and the building there, that's basically considered like the New York area and the Jimmy Fallon space. Ghostbusters in New York goes hand in hand. I mean, it's on location. Ghostbusters in New York. It's like peas and carrots. It could totally make sense. You move the loading area and the entrance for the attraction back there. It's the New York area. Ghostbusters works. You got it right next to the Ghostbusters entertainment show there. Could work, could be. I don't know. I'm totally speculating here. I have no facts to prove this. It's just, it could be. So that's what I've got for today. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Are you ready for Rip Ride Rockit to go away? Or is it one of those attractions that you're just going to be like devastated for it going away? But even if you're devastated going away, you can kind of see why, right? Like, it needs to go. Like, nobody can afford to keep this thing running anymore, and it is safe. It's a safe ride. There's no danger to it, but like, it really kind of needs to go. So I'm not going to be super sad to see it go. I'm excited for something new. Let me know what you think in the comments. What else have you heard? Could it be something else? Or is it possible that Intamin is building a coaster somewhere else in the park? There are a few other locations where it could be. Love to hear from you in the comments. Give me all that information if you got it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the notification so you know when my next video drops. And until I see you next time, the Noble way is the easy way. Bye-bye, everybody.